the corporate structure is evil. Wherever there's hierarchy, there's evil. And the only way to fix the world is to put the power back into the hands of the people. Yes, that's going to come with risk of dumb people being able to vote for things that they have no knowledge about. Maybe we can think of ways to mitigate that. But for right now, the power is in the hands of dumb people who don't know what they're talking about anyway. And so what's the worst that could happen by giving the power to everybody, to the collective? What could happen? What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? It can't be worse than babies getting eaten. Can't be worse than the femicide rate being what it is. Can't be worse than the poverty rate, the unemployment rate being what it is, the unhappiness rate being what it is, the racialism rate, the criminal justice rate, the unaliving rate. Like you think it'll be worse? You think it'll be worse if you gave the power back to the people? You think it'll be worse than this? Hey, listen, I'm a gambling girl. It's a bet I'm willing to take. Get the power back to the people, and I'm willing to see what happens. It's a gamble. I'll take the gamble. Hello, 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 and welcome back to Bree Speaks Podcast. I am your lovely host, Bree Speaks, and who created the 6 narcissistic social hierarchies of control. The 6 narcissistic social hierarchies of control are patriarchy, capitalism, corporatism, racism, ableism, and religion, with our honorary shout out to the 7th narcissistic social hierarchy, which is speciesism, which is humans putting themselves over top of all other life forms, including plants and animals. And so what are we talking about? Oh, and then also, if you are new here, when I say the 6 narcissistic social hierarchies of control, I don't talk about narcissism here as the psychological diagnosed disorder from the DSM, narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. We don't talk about that is such a microcosm of the bigger picture. Like we think deeply here. We think deeply, we think critically, we think logically, we think with scientifically, but we also think with our emotions, and we think with our spirit and our intuition. We wrap it all up in one here, put it all together, and we get our understandings of the world, right? We use a lot of common sense, a lot of knowledge, but also we account for the humanity of life. That is not what narcissists do. Narcissists and all of the systems that narcissists have created, which are all the systems that we live in, which are my 6 narcissistic social hierarchies of control, they are trying to steal our joy, trying to steal our experiences, trying to steal our free will, mind controlling the world, making everyone puppets and NPCs, and creating a lot of suffering and a lot of unjoy, not peace, not love, not stillness, not contentness, not happiness, none of the good stuff that comes with being alive here on this 3D planet Earth. But they're just creating a lot of suffering, and we don't want suffering. And so how do we stop the suffering? We wake everyone up from their narcissistic social programming. We break the spells, we end the curses, we heal the trauma, we do all the things so that people can rise and self-actualize and become who they were always meant to be. Okay, so that is who we are. That's what we're doing. That's our mission. If you like that mission, please do subscribe, stick around, and be ready to change the perspectives of everyone in the world. I recently learned that I have a ton of Gemini in my birth chart, and I was reading up on it and learning up about it. And the big thing is that, Gemini is the twins. And the big thing about the twins is that they are able to be masters of different perspectives because they're two people. And so one twin can be looking over here and one twin can be looking over here. And so they'll have two different perspectives, even though they're the same person, right? When I figured that out, I was just like, oh my God, that's so incredible. Because that is me to a T. I am here to change people's perspective, to not even just change perspectives, change your perspective or don't change your perspective. I'm here to help you see a different perspective. That is all I want to do. That is, if I can help you see a different perspective, like look at something that you would normally look at one way every single day, just let you look at it a different way. If I can let you look at it a different way, hey, I've done my job. I've done my job. I've accomplished something for the day. So I'm here to use all of my twin Gemini powers to give people a different perspective. And then that means you just have a different option. All right. I'm just here to give an option. You don't have to choose this option. You don't have to adopt this perspective if you don't want to, if you don't believe in it, if it doesn't resonate with you and your spirit and your inner God and your intuition. If it doesn't resonate, you don't got to take it. Hey, there's no force with source. A source ain't gonna make you do nothing. She ain't gonna make you do nothing. They ain't not gonna make you do nothing. So the choice is yours. anyways, that is the importance of not having a hierarchical structure around you. When you don't have a hierarchical structure around you, you don't have an authority figure telling you what you have to do or else bum bum bum. Which is just so silly. Then you are free to be yourself. You are free to be who you want to be. You are free to live in this world the way that you want to live in this world, the way that your heart tells you want to live in this world this way. You can just do it without feeling bad about it, without feeling sad, without feeling guilty. You're free. You are literally free. When you break out the matrix, you are free. I can't explain that enough to people. It's just like, you don't want to be in the matrix. It's like when you're in it, it's like, it's a terrible place to be. Like, first of all, you're mind controlled. So you don't think you're so limited in what you think is a possibility. You can be expanded. You can be an expanded being if you break out the matrix and take the chains off of your mind and allow yourself to think however you want to think, to be however you want to be, to express yourself however you want to express yourself. Like, it's whatever the deepest, even the deepest, darkest desires of your heart, as long as it's not hurting someone else without their consent, without their informed, expressed consent, then the world is your oyster, baby girl, baby boy, sir or madam, him, her, they, he, she, zai, zim, them, whomever. Like, literally, you can be whoever you want to be. Who gonna check you? Nobody. Okay, so what are we talking about today, Bree? So we are talking, I would like to attack, so the topic will be corporatism, because I really don't give corporatism enough slack, and I really, and today's the day. Today is the day, corporatism, I'm going toe to toe, and it is one of the ones I always avoid because I was in it. I was in the narcissistic hierarchy of the corporate structure, and so I was playing the game, I was doing the politics, I was playing the role, and my livelihood, the money that I was making was dependent on this narcissist, this structure, and so I was afraid to speak out against it because I was afraid of the consequences that would land on me. Okay, right? That's all of us. That's everything. That is, you're in a narcissist. So you go to work every day and you act a certain way at work and you do the things you do and you say the things you say because you have to, not because you want to. That is, you are being forced. That's enslavement. Like, I'm like, and I know people don't want to hear that, but like, that is what it is. And so I want to attack not only corporate, but like the hierarchical corporate structure. And I really hope it helps anyone in the world understand that where there is a hierarchy, there will be exploitation, there will be evil, there will be bad, there will be awfulness. Okay. And so I just like, cause like, I went to the nonprofit space and I still am in the nonprofit space. I'm on the board of 2 nonprofits actually, but it's still yucky. It is still yucky. It is all yucky. Where there is a hierarchy, no good can come from any hierarchy ever. And that includes in the corporate space, that includes in the nonprofit space, in the government, in the society. If there is a hierarchy of someone is more important than, has more power than, has more say so than, has more power than someone else, there will be exploitation. Okay, and here is why. I wrote us quite the dissertation. Buckle up. All right, so the corporate structure is evil is my first sentence. It's hierarchical, so inherently exploitative, as it concentrates power in the hand of a few. Okay, so that's the first thing that people need to understand about any hierarchy ever. If there's a hierarchy, Illuminati pyramid, okay, the point of the hierarchy is that the power is going to be concentrated at the top in the hands of a few. Okay, we got it? We all understand that's a hierarchy. Fundamentally, inherently, even if there's only 2 levels, which there are, the labor class and the owning class, and we'll talk about it. But even if there are only 2 levels of this hierarchy, it don't even gotta be like my 5-level narcissistic hierarchy control. It don't even gotta be all that. It can just be 2 of them. The moment that a hierarchy exists, when one is split into 2 and then one is valued on top of the other and then one is valued below the other, the moment that happens, okay, exploitation will occur. You got it? You're listening? Okay, because there are people with power and people with less or no power, people who have an advantage and people who are at a disadvantage. Okay, you got it? It's like you're starting, it's like it's a race. If you're starting a race and there's a person who has a head start, more likely than not, on average, like if nothing else stops the trajectory of this race, then the person who had the head start will win, period, full stop. That's it. That's all. No, like that's logic, right? We're logicking. Everyone's logicking today, because I want to break this down to this fundamental parts, because I need people to understand that it is the very existence of the hierarchical structure in corporate America and the government and anywhere that creates the evil. Okay. All right. So speaking of governments, I was saying this is why representative democracy, all right, y'all listening. Hey, I'm just here to give a different perspective. Take it or leave it. Representative democracy will never work. All right. So what is representative democracy? It is when a group of people come together and pick a representative and say, hey, you person, you will represent our interest. Go forth and represent. You got this. We believe in you. The moment that happens, you've created a hierarchy. This person has power to represent all of these other people. These other people don't have power. They gave all of their power up to this one person or these two people or however many people are the allowed amount of representatives. But the moment that they gave their power to represent themselves to this person, you've created a person who has power and a person who has no power. The hierarchy begins, okay? And then you now the only thing standing in between your joy, happiness, or your suffering is the willpower of the goodness of this representative. I'm so sorry, but like the fact that our government, this is I'm telling y'all, when you break things down to their most fundamental parts, what we are doing is so silly. It is so silly. So we are taking all of our power and giving it to this representative, and we are hoping and praying that, because like, again, there's no system in place after this. There's nothing other than the voting system. Okay, we'll vote them out and we'll pick another person who will have all of our power. We'll pick another person and have all our power. And so there's no system in place to ensure that the person who is representing you at that time will be picking the thing that is in your best interest. There's nothing there to make them at that time pick like, okay, we can vote them out later, but at that time when we need our best interest represented in that room, there's no system in place to force that person to pick what is in the best interest of their constituents. There's nothing. It's just their goodwill that we're hoping that they use, and that they are not bribed by some corporation or some entity to do right by. Hopefully they don't take bribes. We're hoping on their morality. We're hoping that there's not one corrupt human being on planet Earth who will get into this position of power and then take advantage of their position and power. I'm sorry. Okay. And we're hoping that not ever one person who is in power will get into a position of power and then take advantage of their position of power and exploit their position of power. We just hope that doesn't happen when we vote a person in to be our representative and give them all of our power. It's just like, I wish that people would accept human beings for who human beings are. That is my, we live in a world where everyone hopes that people will be the best people in the whole world. And I just wish we lived in a world where everyone accepted that human beings are, like, not to say we're inherently, I don't want to say we're inherently selfish, but like we are. But like, it's not, everyone is, every life planet on Earth, if you have life running through your body, you are inherently selfish. You have to survive. In order to survive as a living being, you have to care about yourself. You have to have some form of selfishness, or you will pass away, or you will not be in existence. We are evolved as a life form, as a species, to care about our own well-being. It is like the reason why we have hunger pains, the reason why we have thirst signals, the reason why we have pain in general. Like, we shouldn't care about ourselves, our body would not be programmed to escape pain or things that would tend to put us in the trajectory towards death or not being here anymore. Like if something like pain is a good example of like, if you're feeling pain, then something is amiss, something is wrong. We have to care about ourselves. We have to. It is the point of life. It is the point of being here alive on earth, is to care about our life. We get the life, and we're supposed to care about it. Like, that's, am I missing something? Is something, did I miss a class on life? Are we supposed to get the life and then not care about it? Is that what's supposed to be happening? I just like, so people are like, oh my God, being selfish is the worst thing in the whole wide world. I'm just like, what the heck are you talking about? We have to be selfish or we would die. We would die. You would die. Okay, this is why, so this is why representative democracy will never work, because everyone has selfishness inside of them. It's inherent, and it is human nature to be selfish, but it's like, it is life nature to be selfish. It is the essence of life to care about oneself. You get one life, you get one energy droplet of God, your special energy droplet from God. Not your droplet isn't better than anyone else's, isn't more important than anyone else's, isn't nothing like that. It's just, you get your one unique little droplet of God energy. And that is yours to take care of, yours to explore, yours to have fun with, yours to experience. And it is your desire, it is the desire of the collective consciousness to have good experiences. And so you are going to do things as a human being that leans towards you having good experiences. And so if you are given power and you can use that power to have good experiences, most people are going to use that power to have good experiences. Not necessarily, there's like a line I feel like the regular person wouldn't cross. Just like, if you give people power over other people, that there's an inherent risk of exploitation. Like, it's just an inherent risk of someone taking advantage of that power. There is just no way around it. There's no ands, there's no buts. It's just like, at some point in time, rather here, there, or everywhere, or now or later, or up or down, or side to side, or Christmas or New Year's, someone is going to take advantage of having that power. Period. Full stop. Blank. That is human nature. Even if it's not every single human ever would, on average, you're going to be able to find a human who would take advantage of having that power in some way, shape, or form. I'm like, if you've ever even stolen or taken a pen from work, that is like you exploiting your power. You are in a position where you have access to these pens and you can take it home because you like these pens. Like, that is, you have exploited your power in some way. So I'm just like, it can be the smallest little bit or the biggest. Like, if you got the power to do something, you're going to take advantage of it at some point in some way, shape, or form. It's just like, you got the power to do it, so you're going to do it. If you didn't have the power, it's just like, why have the power if you're not going to use it? So where were we going with this? Yeah. So, and there was an experiment that was done. It was on a class of students, and it was a representative democracy, and all the kids got together and they split the class up into 2 or into 3 maybe. And then each of the 3 groups voted for a representative. And then the representative talked to each of their groups about what they wanted, and, what they would vote for, and and how things were going to go when the when the votes happened. And then the teacher was like, okay, great. You 3 representatives come outside. And then he was like, hey, 3 representatives. Now, I know what all of those students just said, but if you guys vote for what I want you to vote for, you guys will guarantee yourselves A's in the next 3 final grade, 3 finals or something like that. It was like a big deal. It was quite the tantalizing offer. And guess what? All 3 of them took it. And so when they came back in and it was time to vote, all 3 of the representatives voted in favor of themselves getting A's for the rest of the semester. And all of the people behind them were all like, that's not what we voted for. What's going on? And it's just like, it's just that easy. It's like, if you give someone the desires of their heart, for the most part, it's like, humans are wired towards convenience. We are wired towards efficiency. We're wired towards like using as less energy as possible. Like, that is just like, and that is the law. And again, this is not just a human thing. This is a law of energy of conservation. No matter what the task is, no matter what the level of being is, be it a spider, be it a bumblebee, be it I don't know, a rock, an exoskeleton, a fish, like, your body, the living being, is going to use the least amount of energy possible to accomplish a task. Okay. So that is just like the law of conservation of energy. Like Mother Nature, God, this is a universal concept, is not going to expend extra energy for something it could do for less energy. Like, it's not just human nature. So don't think, oh my God, humans are so selfish. It's like, no, this is a fundamental property of energy, and we are just a bundle of energies working together to create our human being form here in the 3D. But we are just We are an energy. We are another, like I said, we're just another animal. We're just another piece of the universe. Like humans want to be so special and want to be so great and so grind. It's like we are all like God is in everything. We are all in God, and this is how God is. God is a a person who is very efficient. God is efficient. God don't waste nothing. I always say God is not, it's like our souls are not a one-use plastic. That's what I always say because it's like people don't believe in reincarnation. I'm just like, you think God made this beautiful soul, this piece of energy that we are, and just to use it for once and then throw it away and never use it again? What? That goes against God. That goes against nature. God recycles, reduces, reuse, recycles everything. Sustainable systems for everything. So it's just like, where was I going with this? Yes. So the fact that these students chose the route that got them the highest possible positive experience with the least amount of energy output, it is them being selfish, but it is not. It's like, we should expect that. Like, that is my problem with, see, that's my problem with people. It's like people expect humans to be good and then are always and they're always surprised when they fall short, or like, that's why it's like Christianity, like, so I always bring it to Abrahamic religions, but it's just like, it is such a clear case of like, it puts all these rules: thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not breathe in the wrong direction, have sex before marriage, which is like, again, crazy, because like even if marriage wasn't even invented until 10,000 years ago, or like about 10,000 years ago, or like, well, I don't know if we had like, it doesn't matter. Humans created marriage. So to have a textbook that say you can't have sex before marriage, when people had to have sex in order to have a baby that can learn to read and write, to write the book that says thou shalt not have thou shalt not have sex before marriage. So just to have this Christianity is a great example of us always expecting humans to be perfect and then getting upset when they fall short, because like that's how our rules are set up. But my mind is humans are beautifully and divinely and uniquely made, and each of them are going to be different. There's always, everything exists on a spectrum. There's going to be a spectrum of human behaviors, but there's always going to be someone at either end of the spectrum. Rather, those will be the extremes, and it'll be less of those people, but there's always going to be those people. And so to act like those people don't exist, that's crazy. So to have a book that says thou shalt not kill, and it's just like, that people are going to kill. It's like, just like, not to say you're setting people up for failure, but it's just like, it's like, does that make sense? Like, you kind of are. It's like human beings. So you shouldn't expect that humans are not going to kill. You should expect them to kill, and then set your rules around, like, I don't know, like fixing, like healing the trauma that happened because of that thing. I don't know. I just feel like the perspective of how we look at humans should be, we should set our systems up based on how we know humans are, not based on how we want humans to be. And so to have these representative democracies and these hierarchies in general, where we put these people in power, and we put them in power, and we don't put systems in place to ensure that they do the right thing, not to hold them accountable for doing the wrong thing, but to ensure that they do the right thing. There's no system in place to make sure they do. Like, we have things we just have things to punish them if they do wrong, but it doesn't truly right the wrong of what they did. It just punishes them. They don't learn to, again, most of the time people who do evil things, they knew they were doing evil when they did it. Like, it's just like, it's not, punishing them is not going to, for the most part, doesn't change people's behavior. It just, like, maybe a child in some ways, but adults, grown people, punishing grown people doesn't change their behavior. Usually their behavior is a manifestation of something going wrong in their life, and it's not that they're wanting to do the bad behavior, is that the bad behavior is a result of something else that they cannot fix. So to make rules that say you cannot have the bad behavior, instead of rules that say, when this bad behavior happens, here's how we will heal or rectify the situation, is like, it's silly in my mind. And so we have these systems in place, that put these people in power, and there's no system to ensure that in the moment they do the right thing. We just rely on the hope that they do the right thing, because we expect people to do the right thing, and they always are surprised when they do the wrong thing. But the wrong thing, quote unquote, is usually the thing that is like, I don't want to say most logical, but like, it's like, when you break it down, it's like, it's the most logical. It's the most logical. It's the most logical. And so we just shouldn't expect for people to not be people. We should build systems that account for people being people. And with that in mind, knowing that this is going to happen, understanding that someone will try to do this is how we will create the system. We should expect the worst, and then we should make systems based on the worst of humanity, and not make systems Right, and not make systems based on the best of humanity. That is our problem. We make systems based on what we will. First of all, I said take this with nuance, but we make systems based on what we hope the best of humanity will be able to do or abide to, and then whenever people fall short of that, we just like ignore them or punish them or pretend it's not exact happening or try not to understand it or punish it or like shove it away. It's just like all this stuff versus like creating a society that is based on the worst thing that can happen and then understanding how to get past that, get through that, mitigate that, and and make that a better situation. See what I'm saying? Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so that is why we need some sort of direct democracy. Like we just need to put the power back in the hands of the people. As long as there are people above and people below, there will be exploitation. I'm going to say that till I'm blue in the face. Because once people understand that, we will figure out. I don't know. I can't say that I have all the answers. Me and Source are in touch. I don't know everything. I know a lot though. But there are answers that exist. If we all can picture a future of a non-hierarchical society where everyone is even with one another in every way, shape, and form, with the exception of the unique gifts that God gave us all, that's a society. That's a good one. That's a great one. So like, how do we get there? I don't know, but we need to have that be the goal. So anywho's, okay, so back to the corporate structure and specifically how the corporate structure, like, again, how it causes inflation is one of the big points I really want to drive home. When you create a hierarchy and the power of the hand, the power system is in the hands of the people of a few, right? And that the people in power do not participate in the labor, there is zero incentive for those in power to do anything, for those in power to do things in the best interest of the people that they power over, of the people who are doing the labor. Okay? That is my, I don't want to call it a thesis, but like that's a fact. Like that's a fact. Please tell me how it's not a fact. There's like, tell me what's the incentive. Okay, listen. All right, so I'm gonna say it again. So when there's a hierarchy where there are people in power over other people in any way, shape, or form, right? And mind you, hierarchies can come in age. I like to, if you're dating someone much older than you, talking to my little cousin, if you're watching this, there is a inherent hierarchy that exists in experience and life experience. So that's like hierarchies can exist structurally or individually, teacher, boss, like, so when it comes to the corporate world, okay, when there is a hierarchy where there is a owning class and a labor class, and the owning class is a class with power. The owning class is the class that benefits from the labor, right? But they don't have to do the labor. There is no incentive for this owning class who benefits from more labor, cheaper labor, right? To not exploit their labor class. There's no incentive. There's no incentive other than human goodness. Not everybody got human goodness. So I'm just like, why do we not have a system in place to stop that from happening? Why does this hierarchy even exist? The moment you have that hierarchy, you're going to have exploitation. You're going to have a power dynamic and someone's going to take advantage of it. All the time, always, someone's going to take that spot and take advantage of it. Period, point blank, in some way, shape, or form. So when you have a labor class and an owning class, and that owning class has the power to make decisions on behalf of that labor class, and this owning class gains money and more power the more that they make this labor class work, and they don't have to do any of the labor themselves, but they benefit from that labor. Like that, like I don't understand. Like there's that 1 + 1 = 2. Like the recipe there is exploitation. The recipe is like, I'm going to get as much as I can. It's a narcissistic structure. The moment you have a hierarchy, you have a narcissistic structure. That yes, the narcissistic structure is a hierarchy. All right, if you're new here I can tag a video explaining it all. But so we are battling over, just like, y'all, I just feel like we're just in the political space, left versus right, Democrat versus Republican, and I'm just like, why do we even have a political class? It makes my head scratch. The fact that there is a group of people who are above the people who are us, like, the medium income of a government person, of a government official is like 10 times that of your regular United States citizen. I'm like, that's not a representative class. That's not, they don't represent us. Most of them are white. They're not a diverse group of people. America is a diverse country. They don't represent us in any way, shape, or form. And we still are allowing them to have power over us. This video gonna get gonna get flagged. Because I'm like, I know what it sounds like. Oh, well, I don't know what it sounds like. I don't know whatever you take away from this. Again, I'm just trying to give you a different perspective. Whatever you do with it is your business. I'm just here to show a different side of things. Just a different look. But the fact that there is a political class is crazy. Like, it's just like, why do these people, like, they like, we're questioning who we're voting for, and I'm like, why is there someone that has to vote on my behalf? Why can't I just vote on the thing that I want to vote for? And that is like, as long as we have this buffer between us and what we want and what's happening, the people will lose every time. Because there's a hierarchy. We're going to lose every single time. As long as we have representatives, it's like it's 2026. We cannot create a secure way for individuals to vote on things, and we can't create a system where just like the citizens can vote on things, and then the people who execute those things are like, you can call them public figures, but they are not like, even I would even say that all government positions should be random, like it should be like jury duty. Everyone should have to be the president. Everyone should have to sit on a judicial bench. Everyone should have to create a law. Everyone should be actively forced to participate in our government. It should be that everyone participates. It should be equal. Everyone pulls their weight to ensure that our society runs smoothly. Everyone gets a turn. Everyone has to do it so everyone understands what's happening, and we have to put that in our educational systems. Like, there's so much stuff, like our financial system, like everything that we actually need to survive and thrive in a capitalist economy. They don't put any of it in our fundamental education. I'm just like, y'all don't see these things. I don't know. My only thing person was just like, I'm just like looking, and there's so much things that, so much things. There are so many things that just that are just so common sense, but everyone puts all these excuses as to why things can't happen. And it's just like, those are excuses that the narcissist wants you to believe exist, but you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Anything is possible if you want it bad enough. Like, that is full stop, period. I don't care what you say. If someone wants something to happen bad enough, it will happen. That is how manifestation works. That's how your magic works. Like, when you put your time, attention, energy into making something happen, it's going to happen if you want it to happen. And so, like, for one, this which I always want to talking about the collective consciousness, all of us, we need to change our perspective into like, how can we destroy this? Like, because my thing is, how can we destroy all these hierarchical structures and all this exploitation once and for all? Because we're always looking at the wrong stuff. We're looking at the stuff they want us to look at. We're looking at red herrings. They're throwing us in one direction, but really we should be looking over here. And so we should be looking much deeper than, are we voting for like the right or wrong person, but deeper, like, how do we fundamentally change the structure to a point where there is no opportunity for exploitation, or the opportunity for it is so little and short-lived that it literally fundamentally, via the system, any exploitation that does occur, it is negligible. It is unimpactful. It is the amount of, like, you stole a pen from work. That is the most exploited. Like, that's the most power that you should have as a government official, is like, you can steal a pen from work. Like, that is like, your power should not allow you to do anything else, because your power should be the same as every other citizen. Every citizen should have the same amount of power as it pertains to determining their future, their livelihood. Okay, so yeah, so there's only incentive for exploitation of labor. Nothing is inherently wrong. Oh, nothing is inherently wrong with being selfish. People think that these people making selfish decisions is selfish, and they're wrong, and they should be punished. And if you were in that position, you would never make that same decision. But humans are programmed, like, through biology, to make selfish decisions. It is what keeps us alive, what helps us survive. So we should change our expectation to knowing that people will exploit any sort of power. How can we create systems that don't give any humans more power than another human? Because when we have a narcissistic system that only benefits a few individuals, we will have mass suffering at the population level, right? Because, again, there's going to be people who always try their best, but the way our systems are set up right now, it gives the people who are evil and narcissistic and will exact harm using the power that they have, this current system gives them so much power. It just gives them so much power. It gives the people who would exploit power the most power. It literally gives them the most power, which is why our systems are narcissistic, which is why we are all suffering. What does this all have to do with inflation, you ask? Okay, great. Wonderful, wonderful questions. Okay, so by the existence of hierarchical structure, all the power and money goes to the people at the top. The same people who benefit the most from exploitation are the same people in charge of stopping that exploitation. So, in a system that incentivizes exploitation, because the people who benefit most from the labor are not the people who are doing the labor. So, any policy that impacts the top of the hierarchy positively will be the decision that will be made. So any decision that impacts the top of the hierarchy, like the people with the power, are going to make decisions that positively impact the people with the power because they have the power and they want to keep the power. They're going to want to keep the power. And people are like, oh, that's selfish, but it's just like, that is human nature. That is life nature. That is nature of existence. You want to have good experiences. And so if you feel like having more power will give you good experiences, the best experiences you can have here on earth in this here body, you're going to do that. And so especially if you are in a position with the power to do that. So in a hierarchy in a corporation, like the people who create the salaries, like the shareholders, so the board members, they are the ones who tell the CEO like how much money they can make. And if the CEO is making decisions that increase profit, that increase the shareholders' profit, the people who are in power and the people benefiting from the labor that they're not doing, they are going to incentivize, like they're going to pay the CEO well, like these millions and millions of dollars. This is why CEOs make, hundreds of thousands, 3,000, 6,000 times more than the average employee is what the CEO makes. Because they're in cahoots with the board member, and because the board member, they own all the shares. And so the higher the value of the company via the more profits that they make, the higher the shareholder value, which of course is what shareholders want. And so by the very existence of like corporations, okay, and then stacked on top of the corporation is capitalism, right? Because capitalism and corporatism, they go hand in hand. They exist together. So the goal of capitalism is to grow your revenue shares, right? And which is the goal of the shareholders, is like it's to grow. Like especially if you're a publicly traded traded company, or you are beholden to the shareholders, because then if they take out their shares, then your shares go down, and then you lose money, you lose all this virtual money, all this fake virtual money that they made up. And so every year as a corporation, you have to grow your revenue, you have to grow your profits. And so this is where inflation comes in. If you are a shareholder, your expectation is to grow your shares every year, grow the profits every year. And even in corporate America, if you have a quarter or like where you don't grow, or like a year where you don't grow, and it's just like literally like this, like you stayed the same, that's considered bad. Like that's like stagnant. You're not growing. You're like, that means you're dying, because then they talk about, if you're not keeping up with inflation, or like if you're not going up with inflation, then you're losing shareholder value. So it's like this race of, I don't want to lose money to inflation, and so I have to always make more money. And the way that I make more money is by doing things like raising prices for inflation. You're going to lower the cost of supplies, and so you will, like, that's when they start taking shortcuts on what supply chains they work with. They'll lower the cost of staff, so they'll start hiring people at lower salaries, or firing people at high salaries and then hiring someone in at a lower salary. Or they'll lay off staff altogether if they just want to, or if they'll just like cut off a team, and then the team who are left over, they have double the work, and it's just like, oh, you got to deal with it, because the people who are making the decisions, remember, who have all the power, they don't have to do the labor, they just benefit from the labor. And so any policy decisions that they make, they don't care if it doesn't behoove you, the labor, because it benefits them. And I told you, the decision that benefits the people at the top of the hierarchy, the people with the power, is always going to be the decision that is made, right? Okay, so I'm glad we're all together. So the more standard, so they lower the cost of supplies, they lower the cost of overhead, which is, cutting off staff. And then they, in order to grow more profits, like they do more concentration, like they start centralizing things. They're like, okay, so instead of having two marketing departments, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast, we'll just shrink it, have one marketing department, and then, cut off some people, and then have, just have one person do East and one person do West, but it's in the same department. So we like need less people. They'll start shrinking and then centralizing, and then, they start concentrating more control in the hands of a few people, because it's cheaper to pay one person a whole lot of money than it is to pay several people a fair wage. It's like if I can pay double the salary to this one person versus spreading it across four people and having to pay them and act like it's just cheaper. It's cheaper to pay off one person than it is to pay several people fairly. That's efficiency. That's capitalism. And so and then whenever you start centralizing, you get higher yields of scale and efficiency. Like you can overlook more when you have less hands in the pot. So you start centralizing control, which means you start giving more power to a smaller amount of people. I'm like, growing a monopoly is literally like it's like narcissism powering up. It like strengthens all of the narcissistic traits. They get bigger and bigger and stronger, and they get more and more powerful and more and more powerful the bigger the corporation is. It's like the more of a narcissistic entity it will be. And which is why we don't want monopolies. We understand that. But capitalism incentivizes monopolies. So like, okay, so now you're trying to grow your profits as a business. And you've raised the prices. People are not going to pay you anymore, or you're going to start losing customers. And so you cut off the staff. You start paying staff less. You cut down overhead. You might move your office to a cheaper building or something like that. You start centralizing power. You start doing more standardization. Less creative rights goes to the laborers, to the individuals, to the lower class. And you get less rights because it becomes waste. All those little different things. I can't control things if there are little differences. I need complete and total control, because complete and total control is how I can usurp all the power, usurp all the money, like when there are differences, it's hard to control differences. They love, like, cults, narcissists, programmers, they love standardization because they're easy to control. And which is why humans are terrible at being enslaved. We're always looking for freedom because we are each individually and uniquely made, and is antithetical to human nature, to the nature of life. Not just humans. All, like, two zebras got the same stripes, okay? No two lions got the same manes, like no two peacocks got the same feathers. Like, it is not just humans who are each uniquely made. It is all life ever. God gives each of us our own unique little energy droplet, okay? And so it is antithetical to life, to God, to the essence that is the existence of life, to standardize us. That's not what God do. God don't standardize. God gives everyone their own unique juice and then say, go forth and have fun. But corporations, they need standardization to better have control. Yeah, and then that's where, then you start hitting late stage capitalism, and shitification happens. I don't know if you heard of shitification, but it is I'm going to keep cranking up this price as much as it is possible, while I'm going to keep extracting the value of the actual item and the quality of the actual item. Like, a lot of our foods today, they've stripped the nutrients out because it's cheaper to, like, make chocolate. Like, chocolate is one that's like, chocolate today, it is not chocolate anymore. It's just like wax and sugar and food coloring with like some chemical additives, like, because cacao, the actual thing, is very expensive. The chocolate I got from Ghana doesn't melt, but the chocolate that if I get a Snickers bar from America, and it could be slightly warm and it's already goopling all over the packet. I'm just like, what's going on with this chocolate? This is not what is going on. So that's what happens, like, in late stage capitalism. After you've grown as much as you can possibly grow, you've eaten as much as you can possibly eat, you start detracting from the quality of the product while increasing the prices yet and still. And so all of that, the fact that we have to grow our profits inherently is going to cause inflation in and of itself. And then when you add on, and then I'm thinking about insurance. Oh wait, before we get there. And so it's going to cause that. It's going to cause more consolidation, because that's when people are going to start. They're going to start again. You're going to start merging power, like external forces, so that you can control the more of the market and have more control, so you can exploit more money. And that includes for things like policies and things like just not, like, people think business about, like, they just look at the bottom line via like what they sell, but they look at everything. And so, like, McDonald's and Walmart has a line item in their annual revenue and budget for how much money they get from the government for subsidies that they get for employing people who are on food stamps. Like, Walmart has a program where if you get hired, you have to go in and fill out your food stamp application, because every food stamp application that they turn in on behalf of their employees, they get paid for. So they have a line item in there. Yeah, we sell sandals, we sell clothes, we get money from selling from vendors selling their stuff in our store. We get money from the government for these SNAP people that we underpay so that they qualify for SNAP, so that we can get, because they make more money from the government by unemploying underemploying and underpaying their employees. They underpay those employees, and so they get money from the government for doing that. And then the money that the employees get from the government for being on food stamps, they spend it at the Walmart. And so there's another line item in the profit margins of Walmart that says money received from SNAP. Received from SNAP from employees who work here. Like, there's one thing if people coming from outside and spend their SNAP there, but the people who work there spend a higher proportion of their SNAP benefits at Walmart because they are always there because they're working. So they're going to spend their money there, the money that they're getting from the government, that they have to get from the government, because Walmart is not paying them enough money. So Walmart is profiting from the money that they're saving from not paying them a livable wage. They're profiting from the money they're getting from the government for employing people who don't make a minimum wage. And then they're profiting from the money that the employees who are getting money from the government are spending at Walmart because they're there all day working under their underemployed life. So they're getting money from the government, from us, from the taxpayers on three different fronts as line items on top of I sell sandals and shoes. And then the people that are underemployed who make those sandals and those shoes are also in a third, quote unquote, third world country, who are also being exploited for their labor, while these things that I'm selling to these Americans are poor in quality, y'all. And I'm like, all of this is inevitable when you have the corporate structure, the hierarchical structure, the structure of the owning class and the working class. People who I just don't understand, what do people expect there to happen if there are people who have the power to control other people? Like, I don't know what you want to expect. What do you expect? What do you expect? What do you expect? You just expect, I don't know what world you're living in, but let me get some of what you smoking. Again, do I think we can change the collective consciousness so that the culture is, we understand that this is human nature and these types of humans exist, so we're going to move accordingly, instead of we're going to pretend like humans are this weird, or this perfect idealized angel from our dreams, and then when they're not, we're going to all act surprised and shocked together and say, and then like don't do anything to actually fix the harm that was caused, but just create more harm. We'll just do that. Okay. All right. Well. Good luck. Yeah, so okay, and the bigger the narcissistic entity, the more exploitation there will be. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did, and I'm rocking with it. Okay, so yes. So yeah, the more so once the businesses start centralizing power, they start coming together with their competition to do more market share, more control. They have more power, which incentivizes more exploitation, mind you. And that exploitation looks like unfair business practices. At this point, this is like they're starting to basically just start scamming people. They're gonna start cutting corners, and regulations that are in place to stop people from being harmed at a large scale only exist because harm can be done at a large scale. Like in Ghana, sure, there's one lady on the street who could sell like lettuce that gives you salmonella, but like she as an individual can only poison but so many people, and those people will likely just not come back to her, and her business will shrivel up, and that'll be the end. But when you have to make a regulation, when you have a business entity like a Tyson's or a McDonald's or a large food conglomerate, where if one mistake from a conglomerate will impact millions of people, like it's just like it shouldn't exist that there should be no the amount it shouldn't exist that one mistake can hurt millions of people. Like that amount of power should not be concentrated into one person's or corporation or entity. It shouldn't exist. Like that's like everyone's like talking about how can we change it, reform it, how can we bend it, mold it, shape it. It's just like it shouldn't exist. It should not be here in the existence on Mother God Green's earth. It should not exist. So so they're always going to see how much they can get away with, and they're always going to see how far they can go before before too far. Any narcissistic entities, again, an individual person or a corporation or a government, like they're going to, like the people who have the power at the top, who make these decisions, who are not impacted in any negative way by the decisions that they make, and in fact are incentivized to make the decisions that they make because it gives them more power and more ability to control. They are going to keep making decisions that keep giving them more power and more control until like they literally, physically, spiritually, mentally can't. Like until someone stops them, until they're not going to keep doing they're going to keep doing the same thing. I don't know. I don't understand how people think. People are like, oh, they'll change. And it's just like, I know in my last episode, we have to heal people under the narcissistic spell, but I don't know. I have to figure out how can I differentiate between the people who are under the spell and then people who are like like perpetrators of the spells, who are victims and who are recipients. But it's just like the thing is once you become a recipient, like if you get if you are narcissism against and you become a narcissist yourself, you are a narcissist yourself. It's like even if you were a victim, you're now a perpetrator. And I can't. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know. Like I said, I gotta talk to ancestors about them wanting me to help heal white people. They said don't hate them, heal them. I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't get it. I get it, but I don't want to get it. That's really what it is. I get it, but I don't want to get it. Right? Yeah. So the people in power want to keep making decisions for the people in power. And then another example I wanted to give, because I've been itching to talk about this and I wanted to and I still might make a separate video on it because it really deserves its own space. But like the housing crisis is absolutely made up. And I recently have been, again, someone who's been researching how to be self-sufficient in all ways, shapes, and forms and not depend on the government for anything because they're exploitative. I've been trying to figure out housing, right? And so long story short is turns out the huts, I'm gonna say quote unquote, the huts you see in Africa that are made out of like mud, the mud huts they try to make you think are so primitive are some of the best technology in the world. So adobo houses are what they call, and I'm gonna probably put the link into the video I watched in the description. But basically all of our ancestors used to build their houses out of clay, straw, water, and sand. Different ratios of that depending on the climate. If you had a rainier climate or a drier climate would be the proportion of clay versus sand versus straw versus water that you would put and mix these cement blocks. So like the Benin Wall, like it was one of like the biggest walls. They say it's comparable to the Great Wall of China, but I think the Benin Wall was made out of dirt and stones. And so the European lens like to say that is the concrete and stuff is more superior, but hear me out. Listen, I found out these adobo homes, they have this wonderful physical trick or trait or like property for these homes. The way that they're made, the way that they're made in the daytime when it's hot, like in Africa, these walls, they absorb the heat. And so the inside of the house stays cool. It stays at, I think it's like a cool 71 degrees like at all times. But then whenever the sun goes down in Africa, it gets very cold. It's just cold. I don't know. The desert is cold. No sun is very cold. But the heat that the walls absorb throughout the day, it slowly releases into the home. So at nighttime it's warm. And it does this, it has this automatic cooling system that is just works with physics and has no need for AC or a heating system. You'll build your windows bigger if you have if you're more in a more humid environment, and it'll let more air in and circulate. And if you're in a drier environment, you'll make the windows smaller, and so that heat doesn't come in and out, and that the place will stay more cool during the daytime. And then the way you make the roof is a different way. How far the roof will go out it'll fluctuate with how much rain that you get, but you want the roofs to be far off of your house so that one, it's a place for shade, and then two, the water doesn't get on the walls, which are made from a very sturdy, like it's a clay. So it's like like when you put clay in an urn, like it becomes waterproof. It becomes like it's a clay. Like you have a clay pot. It's like essentially like making like clay houses, but they're stronger because of the straw and the sand. It's a whole thing. There's engineering behind it, but my biggest thing is it provides free heating and cooling. It keeps itself cool in the daytime and it keeps itself warm at nighttime with no heating or cooling. And then you can put solar panels on top of it for any electronics that you actually need to charge. But you won't need it because like a lot of your power comes from heating and cooling. So much of it. And they know that, which is why so these houses are banned. You can't make them in America because they put all these regulations. These corporations advocated for these regulations to be put in place so that you could not use adobe material in your building. They made it so that you can't use it without putting all this crap into it, like steel rods. They say you got to put all this stuff in it, but the stuff that they told you have to put in it takes away its structural integrity that it has naturally, so it makes it worse. So they regulated that you have to make it worse in order to use it, so that when people use it, they can then say, oh, look, Adobe doesn't work as good as these concrete structures that's still up. Meanwhile, the adobe structures that were made in Africa some of them are still there to this day, thousands of years later. Literally thousands of years later, some of them are still standing. Like they outlast anything that we make today. They are much better building materials, and they're cheap because it's made out of the clay that is literally beneath the dirt. Like if you like pickaxe your dirt underneath any sort of like house, you're going to hit some clay. That clay is the clay that you can use to build a house. You can literally build a house for the clay then this is what our ancestors did, and it worked, and it was perfect, it was fine, it was wonderful. And we could build large structures this way with self-insulating, self-heating, self-cooling, no electricity needed, solar system needed. You can catch the rainwater, and they have a filtration system. So your house can provide its own water if you let it. Maybe having to buy some supplemental water every once in a while. I just took care of your rent because you built the house yourself. No, with very, very cheap but sturdy materials. No electricity bill because you're using solar system and you have no heating and air, and no water bill because you can catch your own water. Oh, and guess what? And now you can build a greenhouse beside it and then use your water that you just caught from the rain for free and build your own little garden. And now, wow, you're building your own food for free. So now you don't have to pay a food bill. Did I just solve the world's housing crisis in a 10-minute video? In a 1-hour video? If you just get rid of corporations who literally put barriers in place for people to find cheaper, better, more sustainable options because it's cheaper and it doesn't drive their profits, we could have free housing with free electricity and free water and free food. But they said, no, that's not profitable. So I'm gonna show you these mud huts, these houses, and I'm gonna call them mud huts. I'm not gonna educate you on what they are and how they work. And I'm gonna demonize them and say this is awful, this is terrible, this is old, this is primitive, and if you don't live the way I want you to live, then you are doing bad for yourself. And this is why. And this is why I just like, y'all wonder why I hate corporate. Y'all wonder why I hate all these narcissistic structures. When you dismantle them and you figure out what actually could be, you would be pissed too. You would be pissed. You would flip tables like Jesus. I've said it once, I'm gonna say it again. I often feel like Jesus because I feel like me and him, I feel like we were locked out. Like we are just trying to spread love and peace and joy and fulfillment and lack of control, lack of narcissism. And it's just like, I'm looking at y'all and y'all looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm just like, y'all are the crazy ones. Y'all are the crazy ones. Y'all are letting yourselves be enslaved and exploited because of what? Because y'all are under spells. Y'all are under spells, people. One of my lovely followers showed me this Tokyo Tony a video of her saying, y'all are under spells.
You are under spells, people. You're under spell. I ain't under no spell. You are. You're under a spell.
People. And I was just like, no, but it's true. I don't really bang with Tokyo Tony. I don't know too much about it, but for the things I've heard, a little problematic. One of my favorite creators, YV Edit, she said, it doesn't matter who a woman is, we stand behind her. So I like that stance. So I'm just, you guys are under spells, people. And then there is insurance, y'all. And if you don't know much about my background, I worked in healthcare administration, which includes insurance for about a decade. And so I know about insurance. Like I was literally an insurance consultant. I was the expert. I would talk to healthcare CEOs, CSOs, CEOs, like the healthcare administrators, like the people who ran hospitals. I would talk to them about strategies to work with insurers. And then I would talk to insurers about strategies to work with hospitals and health systems, because they don't like each other for real. But insurance are the bad guy, but health systems they're also the bad guy. They're the bad guy though, because they are in a capitalist system. I will say, as someone who worked with hospitals and health systems, they have to run as a business. This is our structure. Our system is capitalism. Our structure is growth. Our structure is get bigger. Our structure is gain more power, accumulate and hoard more wealth. Like that is the goal of our social systems. And so that is what they have to do. Like if a hospital is not growing like a business somehow, some way, not making more money, not hospitals, privately owned hospitals especially have shareholders, but even nonprofit hospitals have boards. And I'm a board member on a nonprofit. It's just like they still have some like incentives for gaining more money for their hospital. I don't know what those incentives are, because when you're on a board of a nonprofit, you don't make money. You spend money actually. But you do get perks. They fly you out. You get to the hospital, or the entity that you're on the board will have a budget for the board. The board has a budget, and so the board gets flued out. The board gets benefits. The board gets perks, even if you are the board on a nonprofit. But if you're a shareholder and you're on the board, like you're a board member of a for-profit company, your whole goal is make money no matter what. But hospitals, because they're a nonprofit, their goal is supposed to be, a nonprofit is supposed to be, their goal is not to make profit. The goal is to get as much money as you can to do as much good as you can. But people don't really even understand that structure. Is like, okay, so every year they still want to get more money so they can do more good. So they can, do more with whatever the corporation, the structure, the entity, whatever the nonprofit is, whatever their mission is. Their goal is to grow their donations, grow their philanthropic activity every year, get more, get more, get more so they can do more, do more. And so at the end of the day, the functionality of it is still the freaking same as growth, growth, growth with like a little bit of a little edge taken off, with just like a little edge taken off. Just a little force off the gas a little bit on the growth at any cost, but it's still, the goal is still to grow. Until we change our economy to the goal is sustainability, the goal is to level off, to keep what we have and sustain what we've got and make everyone happy with where we are, to make don't grow anymore, and now let's evenly distribute the wealth that we have to everyone so that everyone has what they need, and then we can all self-actualize, and each of our individual God essences can glow and shine as brightly as possible, and we can see what we can do as a collective consciousness that is whole and happy. That is, until that is the goal, we will keep seeing destruction. We will keep seeing death. We will keep seeing suffering. We will keep seeing exploitation. We will keep seeing enslavement. We will keep seeing bad things happen to good people. We will keep seeing good things happening to bad people. We will keep seeing the rewards of the awfulness being, we will keep seeing the worst behaviors in the world being rewarded, because if we continuously keep ourselves in a system that structurally rewards bad behavior. Like if we keep a system that gives people power, as long as people have power, people who want power will go for those positions, and they will eventually get them. Someone will succeed eventually, and when they do, they will exploit the crap out of that power. Hello Hitler, hello Trump, hello Epstein. And it's like any police officer ever. It's just like, that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, I want to say that you can go into a position of power and not exploit it, and you 100% can. Those people exist too. I would I'm just trying to say, I'm just like, would I not exploit? I'm so like, that's what I'm saying. That's not true. It's not true. I'm like, I would consider myself a very good person, but even the best of people are going to, like I said, I've taken pens from work before, little notepads, just stuff that I feel like, the corporation doesn't need. But it's just like, I have even, my Divorce My Perfect Husband video. One of the things I said was I enjoy using the power of being a beautiful woman to get things that I want sometimes. even this is, well, I want to say it's exploiting my power to make sure I look nice on YouTube. But did someone give me that power though? The patriarchy gave me that power. But that's not true, because even without the patriarchy, there would still be people who are like the attractive people and not, like, let's say not attractive people, but like, yeah, I mean, there's going to be people who are like more attractive to more people, there are going to always be people who have a broader appeal than other people, is what I'm going to say. I think everyone has their own beauty, but there are going to be people who have a broader appeal. And so is that taking advantage of my power? I mean, I would say it is. But I'm like, if you are given a power by God, I 100% I think you should use it. But when you are given a power by a system, by an artificial structure that one singular individual or one singular group of individuals made in order to benefit just that one group or that one individual, that's something different. That's like you're messing up nature. You're messing up nature. Like, God gave all of us our own individual powers, and we should use them. But you are trying to use everyone else's power for your own benefit, and that's not fair. And that's not fair, and I don't like that, and I don't want to play this game if you're going to take all the power and play unfairly. I quit. I don't want to play. And so that's why I quit my corporate America job, left my husband, and gave up my child. I didn't really give up my child. Ooh, we have our call tomorrow. We have weekly calls on Sundays. Anyways, yeah, but it's because being plugged into the matrix, like having those responsibilities, again, people will call me selfish, but they are forcing mechanisms to force you to do things that you don't want to do. I didn't want to work a corporate job, but if I was a wife, I had a household to help support, and I would be expected to work and contribute to that household in a significant kind of way. And it's like that. Right. And so it's like, but if I don't want to have to work a corporate American job, now I'm selfish. Right. And so, but if I'm by myself and I'm not beholden, and I don't have that responsibility to anybody, and I'm only responsible for myself, I can get a corporate American job if I want to, but if I don't want to, I don't have to. And if I starve, I suffer the consequences of my own decisions. Like, everyone keeps talking about me being selfish, because I left my husband, and it's just like, it is a selfish decision, but people also equated selfishness with avoiding accountability and avoiding responsibilities. I am avoiding responsibilities, but I'm avoiding the responsibilities that are optional. People there's nothing wrong with not taking on a responsibility if you don't feel like you can handle it, or if you don't feel like it's outside of your capacity. I was telling my best friend the other day, I was just like, once I learned my capacity, it was a wrap for everybody. No, there's not a person on this earth, not my mama, my daddy, my sister, my brother, my cousin. I don't have a boss anymore because I don't want that. I want a person to have the ability to push me past what I'm comfortable doing. If I feel tired, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. If I'm excited to do it, I'm gonna do it. If I prioritize it, I'm gonna do it. If I put it in my schedule, I'm gonna do it. If I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. But if I don't feel like it, if it doesn't call me, if it doesn't make me feel good and aligned, you can't force me to do it. That's where I'm at in my life. And I'm trying to keep it here as long as I can. Again, I would rather suffer the consequences of being poor and broke than I would rather than misalign my soul than have to put on a performance of being something that I'm not. I cannot stand it. It is the most exhausting thing in the world for me to pretend to be something that I'm not. I just hate it. And that's why I got like 1.5 friends. Cause it's just like, if you don't like me for me, goodbye. I'm not going to change myself for you. I will grow in the way that I want to grow for myself. When I feel like I have identified a problem in myself that I don't like, or insecurity in myself that I don't like, or something in myself that I want to change, I will change it. But nothing anyone else can say or do or tell me will make me want to change. It might trigger an introspection inside of me that makes me decide, yeah, I do want to change, especially if I do love someone and care someone and I'm like hurting them in some sort of way. I will decide on my own, like, this relationship is worth me changing, and the change doesn't move me so far from who I am that I feel like I'm compromising myself. So, like, I can change and I will change for the right person in the right circumstances, but I will never change who I am. And that includes for any sort of external validation. And that's that. And that's that. So that's why I don't have a job. And, I think by all technical accounts, I'm technically homeless, but my name is not on anybody's lease right now. So I would rather, y'all. I know that I may seem like the extreme, but again, as a highly sensitive person, I just feel things first, and I feel them harder than other people, and so I am in the extremes, and I know that about myself, and that's okay. But I hope others. I feel like the more people who join me, who, like, I'm not going to add more people to this population. Not going to have no more kids. I'm not going to add any more, to this narcissistic system, because it feeds on people. It feeds on humans. It feeds on children. So don't give them any more children. And then be okay living a very frugal, very simple life. And being satisfied with the life that you're living. I'm very satisfied with my life. I love my life. I think my life is wonderful. It's the best life I've ever lived thus far. And all of my decades of living. I was going to say centuries, and I'm like, but it's centuries. Hey, this energy has been here, and girl, I'm just talking to myself. I hope we don't come back. I hope we come back after all of this. I don't want to have to come back and help with waking people up again. Maybe I do. Hey, we'll get there when we get there, but I don't like it here. It's exhausting. 3D is gross. I don't like it, but I came here for a reason. We all did, and this is it. To tell y'all this is that the collective consciousness she's tired. We're tired. All of us are tired. Aren't you tired? We all feel that in all of the God inside of all of us. We all feel the collective consciousness is tired of these negative experiences. So I'm just here to verbalize it out loud for y'all. You're welcome. And I take tips. Okay, and so then finally, I keep alluding to it, but I never get to it. Okay, so insurance, I keep alluding to it and then not actually going into it. But insurance is also one of the biggest causes of inflation in the whole wide world, and it's why America literally has such a big economy. People don't know the biggest exports that America does are from the fire industry, which is finance, banks, which is loans, giving out loans, and we make a whole bunch of money on interest on just like loaning out money. So the fire industry is fire. Finance is insurance. I is insurance. One of the most profitable industries in the United States is insuring things. Like, it's just saying, if this thing breaks, if it just happens to break, I will replace it for you. That is the most profitable industry in the United States. Just hold on to that. And then RE is real estate. It's just we profit so much on how much our houses cost, which I'm just like, that shouldn't even be a possibility. I guess it's like, I don't know. I'm just like, how can real estate be one of your most profitable industries? Is one of your most profitable industries is how much your houses cost? I'm just like, I guess you can only do that if people want your houses, but I just feel like there's an artificial demand, and which these systems are put in place so that they can control these markets, and the people who are controlling the markets are the same people who benefit from how the markets are moved. Y'all, I just don't understand why no one sees this. That's my thing. It's just like, how are we having all of these conversations about the right versus the left, the up versus the down, and not having conversations about the structures of the entire systems that made all this stuff happen in the first place? Why is no one looking at that? Why does no one look at that? Am I crazy? Please, someone in the comments tell me, am I crazy? Am I losing my mind? Have I lost my mind? Am I screaming into the void? Should I simmer down? Bree should simmer down. She should simmer. Okay, all right. So, by the very existence of insurance, it creates inflation. And here is how. In a normal, corporate, exploitative, narcissistic environment, if someone, before insurance was existed, if someone lost their house in a storm, they lost their house in the storm. And the community would have to come together, or they would, right? And usually they would come, the community, their family, the people around them would come together and help rebuild together. Because mostly, if lost in a storm, everybody lost something in a storm, so we're all going to all work together to help each other to uplift this neighborhood. But now, when you introduce insurance, it is, I don't need to help you because I have insurance. So I had insurance and you didn't. So now you create a hierarchy and that hierarchy is it replaces community. You've just broken up the community by creating insurance. You've outsourced the need for communal help. That's what insurance does. It commodifies and outsources community. It's a disgusting structure, in my personal opinion. But it, again, like the narcissist, it disguises itself as good, as innocent, as good for you, because it's like, oh, if something happens to your home, don't you want, your home to be fixed? And it's like, yeah, I want my home to be fixed, but I want my money to, I want that. But it's like, I was going to get that anyway. And if I didn't get that, I would have had to restart anyway. And so you giving me the money, it's like, I still have to restart, and I get the money is helpful, but it's like, but again, like I said, at an individual level, it is helpful, but like at a systemic level, once you do that to everyone in the entire, across the country, you've dismantled communities. You've dismantled the incentive to help one another, because now it's like, did you pay your insurance or did you not pay your insurance? So like, that's one of like, so, but then because you can also insure things that are intangible, like things that you can never put a cost on, that also creates inflation. Like if you kill my baby, right? Unfortunately, I hope YouTube doesn't take me down. But if you hurt someone I care about dearly, like my child, in a way that is, physically irreparable, I can never fix what you've done to my child. Or if my child is gone, I can't bring them back. So now I can sue you for, millions of dollars, because there's no amount of money that could ever replace my child. So because of that, like, have the ability to sue you for whatever the insurance company is literally willing to pay. And so that, because there is a world where that amount of money can be paid out, it, like, does that make sense? Like it creates this inflationary device. It's like, it's an inflationary device. You can't, like, okay, so the price of a life is this much in 1960, and is this much in 1970, is this much in 1980, and because it's always going up, the price of insurance is always going to go up, because it's another thing that it's got to outbeat inflation. So because things cost more when inflation happens, insurance has to go up. But because insurance goes up, everything has to go up to account for them, because everything needs insurance. You need bicycle insurance, house insurance, life insurance, term insurance, insurance. Like, you need insurance for everything. So if insurance feels like they have to pay more, they're going to go up in premiums. But since everything has insurance, everyone who has a business, you got business insurance, you got liability insurance, all these insurances is one of the most profitable industries in the United States, because everyone wants to profit off of your fear of loss. It's the entire industry is profiting off of your fear of loss. Literally, it is an exploitative industry inherently. But because everyone is forced to have it by the United States government, it is a driver of inflation itself. So now people have to pay higher insurance premiums. And so the things that they are selling, they have to go up in price to account for how much more they have to pay in insurance. And then it's like, because that inflationary factor of the fact that insurance can pay such high amounts, because it is this conglomerate of money versus individuals who have smaller amounts of money, but but it's a smaller amount, but it's not concentrated. The things that take insurance, such as the healthcare industry, exploit that and charge they overcharge. And again, this is someone who works in healthcare administration, who wrote the line items, who did the analysis on how hospitals make money. So please believe me, they overcharge people with insurance, especially commercial insurance people get from your jobs, because corporations pay so much money, they make so much money, they're willing to pay like really large insurance tabs to insurance companies to handle insurance for their employees. And so the hospitals will charge commercial payers, like payers or insurance, I call them payers. They're called payers in the healthcare industry, but like insurance companies, hospitals will charge insurance companies higher rates because just solely because the insurance company can pay a higher rate. Like it literally like does it on a scale. Like commercial payers, like insurance, like through your employer, they pay the most, so we charge them the most. If a Medicare patient comes in, they pay this much. They pay this much, so we're going to charge this much. If you're a Medicare insurance person, if you're Medicaid pays the least amount. So but they have the most amount of patients because they're the sickest people on Medicaid, and so we'll charge Medicaid this certain amount. And so the fact that that's capitalism, right? The fact that you are able to pay more, the business will charge you more, be that like business to business, business to government, business to insurance, insurance to a company to person. Like in capitalism, where you can pay more to raise your profits because your goal is always growth at any cost, you're going to charge more. And so that creates an inflationary factor. Like, so the very existence of insurance. And so, yeah. And so that's what you get with like self-pay patients versus if you're paying with insurance. Like if you're on YouTube and you've been on my algorithm, you've seen people go into hospitals and say, I need this treatment. And they're like, oh, it's this much money. And they're like, oh, actually, it's this much cost for your copay or your deductible or whatever. And they said, oh no, actually I let go of my insurance because it was too much, because everyone sees the insurance going up. Like people's insurance, like health insurance is like doubling, their car insurance is doubling, home insurance is doubling, everything insurance is going up so much because insurance says that they have to pay so much more to replace things, even though the thing is you have to fight tooth and nail with insurance companies to get them to pay anything in the first place. They hate making payouts. They have entire arms of their business. They have an entire places got marketing, some places got product development, some places got, public relations team. Insurance companies got a litigation team just for fighting claims, they got whole processes and systems just for like denying claims because they know people who are denied usually will just like figure out a way. And then people who fight it, usually they don't have the time or the energy. Usually they're sick. And so they don't have the time and the energy to fight the insurance company in court. And so they'll give up that way, or they'll run out of money because the huge conglomerate who has all the power, they have the money to pay a good lawyer to keep fighting this claim. If it will cost them less to pay the lawyer and fight it in court, they will pay that lawyer and fight it in court. If it costs them less to just pay you out a settlement, then they will pay out the settlement. But if it costs them less just to pay out the actual insurance claim, then they'll pay out the insurance claim. Like that's how it goes. It has nothing to do with if it has relatively little to do with if you like are qualified for that claim. Like it's like every doctor in the world can tell you need this exact specialized medicine because you have this thing. But if your insurance company doesn't want to pay for it, they're going to hire. They have physicians on payroll to look at your chart, even though they've never met you, they've never seen you, they never talked to you, and they'll say, based on my analysis, I don't think you need this. So you're not approved by this insurance physician on this insurance payroll for the insurance who would pay the claim if this physician actually did approve your claim. These are our systems, y'all. People don't look at these systems like just objectively. Everyone looks at it through the bureaucracy, through this is like, because everyone's in it. That's the thing. Everyone's in it. I've stepped out of all of it. I've stepped away from the corporate structure, the insurance structure, the government structure. I really, I'm not going to say anything else about my life because the government may or may not be watching. But when you step away from it all, you just look at it all objectively, it's all so stupid. It's all so dumb. It's just like so illogical. It's also illogical, and it's causing so much harm. It's causing so much harm for no good reason, for literally no good reason. Yeah, so that's insurance. And so if insurance didn't exist, so this was one of my girlfriends, she was like, oh, but it does so much good because it helps people. And I told you, if insurance didn't exist, people would have to lean on their community and they would have to start over. They would have to do the healing process anyway. They would have to do the trauma process anyway. Like, it's like money. I'm just like, does money, I just feel like, and me personally, if I'm looking at the human cost of insurance, not only does monetary inflation, but it also destroys the human to human connection, the human to human dependence, the human to human community that inherently comes from having to build together after a loss. Like that's a communal ritual that we are being deprived of by having insurance. It's like having insurance. It's the government taking away our agency to be a community and empower one another and strengthen one another and connect with one another. And it's like, I know that sounds in the 2026, it sounds crazy. Like, oh, you don't want insurance. But it's just like, if everyone had to learn how to suffer a loss and then heal from it and move forward, like that's a beautiful skill to have. And like, And because people don't have that skill, people fear loss so much. They fear death, they fear the end, and they because they don't have to experience it so often. So it feels like such a scary process to go through. But like once you get used to loss and then restarting, one of the ancient figures, and I think about this often, is one of the ancient figures was the snake. And of course in this narcissistic world, we vilify the snake so much because it's like, oh, the snake represents like sneakiness or evilness or whatever, nonsensical stuff. But when you look at ancient indigenous cultures, the snake represented new, like rebirth. It represented the cycle of life, like because it can shed its skin. So it's like whenever you shed your skin, it's the end of one chapter and it's the beginning of something new. Your life is a spiral. It is always going to go around and around and around and come back again. It's not the end. That's it. The end. That's all. Like even when you die, that is not the end. That's the beginning of a new cycle of life. It's just like life is a never ending cycle, and it's one that's meant to be enjoyed and experienced with light, love, and wonderfulness. But again, our positive experiences are being stolen by narcissistic structures and systems that need to be dismantled immediately. But yes, and so it's just like insurance is there to reinforce the fear behind loss, and it is profiting off the fear of loss when it should be like people shouldn't fear loss. It's a natural thing that happens throughout any life form. Like when you go from a baby to a toddler, you lost your babyness. When you go from a toddler to a adolescent, you lost your toddlerness. And again, that's gross. Narcissistic people feed on the innocence of children, and taking that innocence from them versus letting them, allow them to shed their skin naturally the way that life intended them to. They like to go in and intervene and steal it for themselves. It's nasty, disgusting, gross, and exploitative. It makes me want to vomit in my mouth. But those natural endpoints in life are just natural. But we are trained from very young in these narcissistic systems to fear the end. And so we do. And so that we have entire structures profiting off of the fear of loss, that and it's causing so much harm. So yeah, insurance is evil, even though I know it's framed as a good thing for people. But ultimately, when I sum up the good that insurance does versus I sum up the bad that it does, the insurance is terrible. It's awful. It's evil. And it takes away our ability to help one another in times of need, and which builds stronger communities. And I do that on purpose. I'm telling y'all, the narcissistic system is an intelligence of breaking down communities, breaking down people from their communities, of isolating people and then making them feel like they have no one they can lean on when they need people the most. Ugh, I hate it. Okay. All right. That's okay. So another way that, and I guess the final way, I'm gonna wrap it up, that corporations cause inflation is through the fact that because they are such big conglomerates, they can get bigger loans. Like when you get a loan, you can get a loan for more money than you actually have or like have access to. That's the whole reason why you're getting a loan. But because corporations are allowed to conglomerate so much like financial power, they're like little banks of themselves, because they can take out such large mass capital loans. And again, the same way that because people can sue for so much money, because insurance have that much money to pay out on these claims, corporations can borrow so much money because they have so much like collateral and assets to borrow against. And so the amount of money that one person can borrow and create and hoard and do stuff with, it becomes like larger. So it's like, I just don't like, it's just, does that make, it's like, okay, it's like real estate, which is the last finance, insurance, real estate is the last industry, and the fire industry that the United States is, the best exploiters of. It's like real estate where they can take out loans that are like bigger loans. So that opens the ability to take out big loans for other people. And so the value of things shifts because there are now this new pool of buyers, of people who have this bigger access to bigger capital. So it's going to naturally inflate the amount of the price of things. When people have access to more money, the people who are the people who are the sellers to the people with more money are going to raise their prices, because I know my customers got more money. And that happened during COVID too. People were paying higher prices during COVID because everybody had their inflation checks. Not their inflation checks. That was a Freudian slip. Their COVID checks. What are those called? They were the stimulus checks. Everyone got their stimulus checks, and it stimulated the economy, but it did massive inflation because people had extra money. They weren't spending money on gas. The gas was very low, food was very low, like everything was so low in cost. And then everyone had these, then they had these inflation, I keep calling inflation checks because that's what they were, these stimulus checks. But they caused so much inflation because people were spending so much money because they had this extra money during this time of like low economic stimulation. And so that's why they gave it to it. So it stimulated the economy, but people started paying outrageous prices for things because they had the money to spend. When you have pools of buyers who have a lot of money to spend, you are going to have pools of sellers who raise their prices to capitalize on the amount of new money that's being circulated. It's like hungry hippos. Like if there's a bunch of extra little balls out there, the hungry hippos are going to try to get as many as they can. Like it's a natural instinct for any person, entity, of just like any life form, any living, breathing being. And yes, a system, a corporation is a living, breathing being. It goes from small to big. It has a life cycle. It has a growth. Like it does. It's the same thing as any other life form. It's just in the form of a corporation instead of a biological being, but it still has the same properties. Still has the same properties. And so it is just being a living being by trying to capitalize on getting as much return on investment. That's humans, that's animals. Like the law of energy, law of conservation of energy is get as much benefit as possible while spending as least amount of energy as possible. Like, yeah, it's business, but like that's everything. It's just like Mother Nature is how can I create a sustainable system that is optimal with the least amount of energy as possible. It's just like that's the law that's a universal law. So if businesses see that there is more capital in circulation, they're going to try to capitalize on capturing that extra money in circulation by raising their prices. That is like, so instead of expecting businesses not to be businesses, we should create systems that don't allow businesses to capitalize on such opportunistic moments in such a way that is negatively impactful to the community writ large. I want to say our dummies running the world, but the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Yes, selfish dummies are running the world, and that's why the world is made in such an illogical, dumb, stupid, not good way. Not good way. Oh, and then I even talk about how the stock market and speculation. I'm just like, why is that even a thing? Why is speculation even a thing? Why is it that people are allowed to say, "Oh, I think this will be this much." And so now it's worth this much. And so now you're worth this much because you own a piece of it, and this hypothetical worth that I'm giving it is not reflected in actually how much revenue or profit that is making. I'm talking to you, Elon Musk and Tesla, Tesla's evaluated as an AI company, but they're making the same amount of revenue as like a Ford or a Toyota, like a regular car company, but they are worth through that of a Starlink or something, or a Google. It's like valuated like it's a Google when it's a Tesla, and it's Teslas are car because they have AI in them. They have artificially valuated the stock of Tesla way higher than it should be. But it's just like, but when you compare it to the actual revenue, like y'all, see, it's because I'm a nerd. I keep forgetting I'm a nerd. I'm just like, y'all don't look at this stuff. And I'm just like, no, people don't. They don't look at this stuff. And that's why they don't realize this was like all this stuff is stupid, fake, and made up. And it's just a bunch of white boys making up numbers so that their buddies can have more money. And then in turn, their buddies can spend more money on them. And then they can have more money. Like that's all it is. And we're just playing their game. That's why I keep telling everyone to quit. Quit all of this quit these stupid games. Everyone quit. I would say, hey, if it was up to me, everyone quit their corporate job. Everyone leave their houses. Leave, stop paying their mortgages. Everyone go build themselves a self-sustaining adobo house and say fuck and F the government and start living off the land and like and just build our own communities and just get rid of all of this unnatural crap. Like all this stuff is so unnatural and it's useless and it's stressful and it takes away our freedom and our capacity for loving ourselves and connecting with spirit and being creative. It's just like it standardizes us as people. It makes us robots. It takes away our self-esteem, takes away our inner value, all these corporate structures, all these religions, all these societal expectations that no one made up but these people who wanted to help themselves. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. Yeah, and so last example was in Ghana. I was researching about their economy, and because I was talking to my friend, and she was saying that things in Ghana are becoming more expensive because a new pool of buyers with more money has showed up in Ghana, and they are Americans, especially Black Americans, myself included, who are willing to pay higher prices for things that the regular Ghanaian would not be willing to pay, and so they are raising their prices to capture on this new market of people with more money. And so that's causing inflation in Ghana. But from 2001 to 2011, the economy was not impacted by inflation. And that was for 10 years straight, they didn't have inflation because whenever it is people to people, and like when the power is in the hands of the people and the people can negotiate prices, it will stabilize inflation. You can't inflate your prices if your neighbor, if there are six other people who are selling the same thing down the street who I can negotiate with, and they will be it will be cheaper. Like when all of the money, when all of the market economy, the power of the economy is in the hands of the people and not in the hands of a select group of people who have all the power, who benefit from the manipulation of this market in a way that they have the power to manipulate the market. And so it just so happens they're going to manipulate the market in a way that benefits them, the people in power. So I just don't like what else do you expect to happen in that situation? But when you give all the power to the people and all the individuals, each individual has the same amount of power and the same amount of agency. That is when you'll have stability because some people will fail, yes, and some people will succeed more than others, yes, but the average in general will be like it'll be stabilization. That is what will happen when you put the power in the hands of a very large and diverse group of people. The law of large numbers happens, like averaging will happen, natural distribution will happen, things will equalize on their own. That's how nature works. Nature is all about harmony and balance. It's like when you release everything and give it everything to their own, leave everything to their own devices, things will stabilize. Things will distribute evenly and randomly on their own. But when you add pressures and structures and systems and things that are controlled by a certain group of people, you're going to have outcomes that reflect the benefit of a certain group of people. And it just will always happen to be the certain group of people who have the power. That's okay. That's that for today. I hope that I drilled in that the corporate structure is evil. Wherever there's hierarchy, there's evil. And the only way to fix the world is to put the power back into the hands of the people. Yes, that's going to come with risk of like, dumb people being able to vote for things that they have no knowledge about. Um, maybe we can think of ways to mitigate that. But for right now, the power is in the hands of dumb people who don't know what they're talking about anyway. And so, what's the worst that could happen by giving the power to everybody, to the collective? What could happen? What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? It can't be worse than babies getting eaten. Can't be worse than the femicide rate being what it is. Can't be worse than the poverty rate, the unemployment rate being what it is, the unhappiness rate being what it is, the racialism rate, the criminal justice rate, the unaliving rate. Like you think it'll be worse? You think it'll be worse if you gave the power back to the people? You think it'll be worse than this? Hey, listen, I'm a gambling girl. It's the bet I'm willing to take. Get the power back to the people, and I'm willing to see what happens. It's a gamble. I'll take the gamble. Hey, what's the worst that could happen? All right. Well, I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you saw something from a new perspective, because that's my job here on this Mother God's green earth, is to show people different perspectives and let them choose if they like it or not. Take it or leave it. I'm just here to show you the way, show you a way. I'm not a cult leader. You don't have to think like me. You don't have to believe in what I'm saying. A is an option. So no force with source. Source don't force you to do nothing. You got free will. So take it or leave it. But if it resonates with you, I'm happy and I'm glad and welcome. So yeah, thanks. So thanks if you enjoyed it. So if you did learn something and you want to support my cause, of course, please do subscribe and share if you care with people who you want to support the collective and dismantle all hierarchies. But you can also donate a tip via Cash App at Bree Speaks the number 2. I enjoy monetary donations. They help pay the bills, the little bit of bills I have. I'm keeping my bills to a minimum right now, but I do have bills, and hey, dollars help. Or you can always buy a PDF at breespeaks.co of my 6 narcissistic social hierarchies of control, which will be 7 narcissistic social hierarchies of control soon, eventually. It's just so hard. I have to change things. I have to make it small. I really just don't have any more space, but I am going to add it because I want to add it because animals deserve so much more respect, y'all. So yeah, so if you want to support, you can always buy that PDF, and then you'll have the PDF and you can put it on your wall, or like make it into a blanket, or put it on the back of a t-shirt. I don't know, whatever you want. You'll have the PDF, so you can do the world. The world is your oyster. So yeah, and if you'd like to follow me on other socials, you can find me on TikTok at Bree.speaks, and eventually on Spotify at Bree Speaks Podcast. And yeah, so come hang out with me there. And if you want to learn more about me and my personal life, and hear more like nodes of thoughts or reasonings or logics or wisdom, if you will, you can join me in my members only at there's Woke, and you get early access to all of my long form content, as well as some other cool fun perks. But Woke AF is where you get to get access to my vlogs, which they're shorter, but they're more personal, more I wouldn't say intense, but like I don't know, more something, more something. They're different than this. They're different than this. It's a different vibe, but it's still me. But you get to go a little deeper, a little deeper. So if you want to hang out and be woke AF with me, it is where I am collecting folks who want other friends who are woke AF. Like this is where my woke AF friends are. Like the ones who are like, you're too deep, or like that's too deep. Like all of you, come on over. If the people call you too sensitive, or you think too much, or called you a nerd and you're too smart for everyone, and people feel like they want to dumb you down and dim your light. You come on over. You come on over. If you want to dismantle all the patriarchy and capitalism and corporatism and racism and ableism and religion and speciesism, come on over. Hang out. It'll be fun. We can talk super deep about the world that is and figure out maybe we can come up for like, real action for change. I don't know. Hey, anything is possible. The world is our oyster if we put our energy together. So this is where I'm collecting people to put our collective energy together to start making movements of change, of changing things from a structural way. And we need to spread the word. Like it's just like if we can get everyone to see this perspective, then the perspective can spread and it'll be more likely to become like if everyone's just like, oh yeah, this makes sense. We should do this. Like the more and more people who is like, why are we not doing this? It'll be more likely to happen. So the collective consciousness, we need more people on the same frequency, on the same wavelengths to resonate with us in the same vibration. So we can move our timeline to the one we want it to be in. Like we got to get more people. We need more energy. We need more energy. Okay. So thanks for coming. If you're here, you can please do put a upside down triangle in the chat, an inverted triangle. It stands for the collective. It stands for the collective over narcissism. It stands for all of the majority over the minority, which is the collective over the bad people who want to hurt us. It stands for all for one and one for all. We all stand for each other and everyone stands for each individual, but not each individual has to stand for a certain person or a certain people. Like it's not all of us for the one. It is all of us for one, but it's not all of us for the one. It's all of us for one of us, and then one of us is for all of us. So all for one and one for all together. It's like yin and yang. It's like, anyways. So if you stand for that, and this also stands for the feminine, the womb, the creation energy, all of that, please do put upside down inverted triangles in the chat. It is to fight. It is to fight hierarchy, fight the patriarchy, fight narcissism through symbolism. And we know that symbolism works because they use it. They use it and they use it a lot. So we are going to use our own magic to fight back. And that starts with putting out more symbols of the internal, the darkness, the feminine, the feminine divine. All right, so that is it for today. Also a long one, but I hope I got through to people because I need people to understand how inherently and fundamentally wrong any hierarchy is. Like people just feel like, oh, patriarchy is bad, but no, it's all bad. Down to the fact that you have a boss at work, evil, evil. And I know that sounds crazy, but it is what it is. So thank you. I love you so much. The God in me loves the God in you. And so I will see you next time. Always stay woke. All right. Bye-bye.